Hola, hola everyone. Welcome back to the Resin Lab. So today I am going to be testing out the Bond Craftors silicone rubber to make a mold out of for my stingray. I got this at in Mexico about a month ago when I went on my work trip, and my sister really liked the stingray, and so she asked me to make a mold for her as well. So I'm going to be testing out um, the Bond Craftors. This is what I got in Happy Mail a couple weeks ago, and it's 15A. So I'm going to test that out. My son has a 3D printer and he made a special housing for me. So that's going to go, around the stingray here. And I'm going to glue it on some acetate. So with all that said, let's get started. Okay, so I've got a piece of acetate that I've cut out, and I made sure that I cut it out bigger than the housing that my son made me. So the first thing that I'm going to do is glue my stingray. And this is just a regular glue gun. So I'm gluing my stingray down. And then I'm going to position the housing around the stingray so that I have enough space for the silicone to go around. So where I want to be really careful is the tail and make sure that I have enough space there. So now that I've got that placed, I'm going to go around the edge of the housing with my glue gun just to seal that up. And this is obviously so your silicone doesn't seep through. And mind you, this is the second mold ever that I've made. I've only made one mold, which is the paw. And I'll put the episode, I didn't make it on camera, but I did pour it on camera. And I'll put the episode on the screen for you so you can go back and watch if you're interested to see what that mold looks like. That was with a different silicone brand. It was with BB Dino. And it was with the BB Dino 30A. So it was a little bit stiffer. It's about, I think it's twice the amount of stiffness of the 15A. Okay, so now that I've got this glued down, I'm just making sure that all of my corners have glue. And I think I'm going to go around one more time just in case. So I'm just grabbing another glue stick. And I'm just going around the top of that and the bottom. All the way around. And as far as the amount of silicone I'm going to need, I'm estimating about 300. So I hope that, I only have about 500 because I have 16 ounces. So I only have 500. So I'm hoping that that is enough. I was going to make a second mold of another piece that I have that I found at a store, at a secondhand store. but I don't know if I'm going to have enough of this to test it out. So I figured I'd be safe and just test out the amount of silicone that I need for the Stingray. All right, so while that's cooling down, I'm going to move that aside. And according to the instructions, this is mixed 1-to-1 by weight or volume. The instructions do say that if you mix by volume, you might have a little bit of a difference in texture once it's cured. So I'm going to go ahead and do it by weight. So with that said, I'm going to need about 1 gram per milliliter. So I'm going to need about 300 grams. That's what I'm going to go with. So trying to think, I need a cup. So here is my cup that I'm going to grab. And I have a food scale. So you can get this at any store, Amazon. I can see if I can find one on Amazon and link it for you. But this is one, I've had this for such a long time. This is when I did Weight Watchers 10 years ago, and it still works. So I'm just going to tare that to 0 and get some gloves on. And since I'm testing it out, I'm going to go ahead and do the whole mixing process with you. I'll probably time lapse. It doesn't say how long to mix. These are the instructions. It comes with, I did the unboxing of this during episode number 62. But it comes with the 16 ounces of silicone rubber, part A and B. It comes with your instructions, comes with these little beads, which I don't know, I don't really understand why. So if someone else knows, please tell me in the comments, because I don't know why you would mix in the beads in the silicone. So it comes with those, comes with the instructions, comes with a pair of gloves and a couple of mixing sticks, as well as these measuring cups. But those are too small for today. So I'm going to go ahead and just use a regular cup. And since I'm going to measure it by weight, it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so stir clockwise for 3 to 5 minutes. So that answers that question. So I'll time lapse that part for you. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and open this up. That's part A. So I'm gonna do 150. Oops, I don't want to press down. I'm gonna do 150 grams. Of each. Actually, let me look at 200, because maybe, whoops, I'm already at, never mind. 151, 152. 152 is my number. So I'm going to tare this to 0, and for 152 grams of part B. And if I end up with extra, I'm trying to think of anything I want to mold. What I can do is like pour in the other one. I don't know if pouring 2 brands is, yeah, see, this is 15A and the other one is 20A that I have. I have some BB 20A silicone. I just haven't had a chance to play with it, to test it out. It's 2, 4, 7, 10, 13, 24, 40. I'm just watching the scale. I think this might be too much, but I already poured it, so let's go with it. 16, 17, 21, 30, 34, 49, 51. 52. Okay. So that's 304 grams, which is approximately 300 milliliters. So I think that might be way too much, but who knows? I could be wrong. All right, so now I'm going to take my mixing stick and mix this for, I'm going to go with 5 minutes. I'll put you all on a brief pause while I get this mixed up. Okay, so it's been 6 minutes actually. I lost track of time. I'm going to go ahead and vacuum chamber this because there are a lot of bubbles in there, and then I'll be right back to pour. So stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, so I've got the silicone all vacuum chambered. I'm just noticing that I've got some lint in here, so I'm just kind of dusting that out. I should have checked that before, but let me go ahead and take some tape and get that out. If I could cut the tape. Oh, that's the filament from the housing. Okay. So I'm just, I mean, that's the edge of the mold, so it should be fine. Almost looks like lint. I think that's the only spot I saw it at. Okay. All right. So this vacuum chambered really well. I see a little bit of lint in there. So it only took a few, maybe like 5 minutes to vacuum chamber. So it didn't take long at all. So that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and pour. I'm just gonna pour on top of the stingray and let it spread on its own. And just go around, making sure all those little details are captured, especially the eyes and the fins. And the stingray is made out of marble, so it already has like a natural shine to it. Oh, and I think this is going to be just enough. So I estimated pretty well. I hope it's enough to cover the whole body. That was what, 304 grams? I feel like it might not have been enough, but let's scrape this out. Pop those bubbles. Luckily, nothing is leaking, so that's good. I'm just getting all of the drops of silicone, just like if you were doing resin, because you don't want to waste it. Okay, so that's that. Let me see how. That's pretty shallow there. I think I might need another 100 or so. I'm going to go for mixing another 100 and fill it to the top. I'm trying to think 100 or maybe 50 or 80. I'll try to do 75 because this right here looks really thin. So like this looks good, but this right here seems really thin, especially right here by the edge of the fin. So I think it needs another bit. So I'm going to mix another batch and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got this vacuum chambered. So this is another about 82 grams. So let's go ahead and pour that. Oh yeah, that's much better. Much better. Yeah, so the key is you don't want to see too much of your, at least, mind you, I'm no expert. This is the second mold that I've poured, but you want to make sure that your mold is not too thin on the bottom because otherwise it will wear out or it could rip easily. Yeah, so I'm glad I only did the stingray because I would not have had enough silicone for this and the other object I was going to mold. So I'll do that with the BBDino silicone on another day. So I'm going to go ahead and let this sit overnight and then we will unmold it in the morning. And then I will cast it with resin in about, well, technically you're supposed to wait 24 hours. But I don't want to wait that long. So I'm just going to wait till I unmold it in the morning and then we will cast it with resin and see what happens. But from what I understand, you are supposed to wait 24 hours. So do as I say, not as I do. All right, everyone. See you in just a few moments. All right, it's time to unmold the mold. So if that makes any sense at all. So I'm going to start by putting on gloves so that I don't get any fingerprints inside my finished mold. And I'm going to turn this upside down and peel back the acetate. All right. So the glue came right off where I glued the stingray down. So now I just have to break the seal. And that came out pretty easy considering. So I'll clean that up later. So I'm going to take this little tool here. This came with the BB Dino. I don't recall, like I said, if you wanted to see the unboxing of what comes in the silicone kit, watch episode 62, because I do unbox it there to see everything that comes inside. I don't recall if it comes with a little tool like this. I believe it does, but I honestly don't remember. But this little tool comes in handy to trim, and you just have to give it some tension. And just trim around like that. And now I have to be really careful here because I don't want to over trim it. So I'm going to start by going around here. I'm just trimming that. So anywhere that it's flat is where I'm trying to trim. And this is either going to be a fail or you're blocking my light, babe. My husband is peeking over my shoulder to see how this comes out. Okay, so far so good. I'm not sure if I should trim it a little more. Probably should. So I'm going to go around. You know what I want to do is mark it. Mark it around here. That'll make it easier. So I have a line to follow. I know I'm really quiet, everyone, but I'm just trying to concentrate. I should have started the other way so I can see. Okay, here's where it starts to get thick. But yeah, having that line helps a lot. Come on. Just that last piece there. Okay. So now I'm going to attempt to take this out without ripping my mold. I'm just going to wiggle that out. And all right. So interesting. My silicone kind of darkened the marble, but that's fine. So now I just have to wait. It looks like all the details are there. I can see them. So now I just have to wait to pour this. So I'm going to wait a few hours. Technically, you're supposed to wait 24. It's only been about, I'm going to say 12. So I think I'll wait another 6 hours at least to get it to 18. And then we'll go ahead and pour. I'll see you all in just a moment. All right, I am ready to pour the mold. It's been a few hours. oh, more than a few hours. It's been several hours. So I mixed up 200 milliliters of resin. This is Let's Resin brand. And I probably should have tried Bond Crafters, but I want to save my Bond Crafters for my food safe projects. Um, since this is a Bond Crafters, silicone. But in any case, I figure it's just fine. Now, I thought about and debated whether I wanted to color this piece. I think I want to leave it clear because I want it to be my backup master. Um, so yeah, let's get to pouring. So the big thing here is that there is a long area where the tail goes. And so I want to make sure I get enough resin in there. So I'm just going to stand it upright and pour slowly. And I have the resin hitting the side wall of the mold to avoid bubbles. It looks like that's good. Now that I've got that, I'm just going to squeeze it down here just to make sure, especially the tip. I don't want my tip to have any air bubbles. I'm just squeezing that. Okay, now I'm going to continue to pour. I'm still holding the mold at an angle. And now I'll lay it flat. And mind you, this is just me pouring based on how the mold, how the piece, the original piece is. And I'm just letting all that fill up. Oh no, where did that come from? I've got a couple of hairs in there. Let me take this one out. So let's see. There's a bubble right there. Okay, got that out. All right, glad I caught that beforehand. So that so far has taken about 60 milliliters. So I'm probably gonna only need 100 for this. And remember, you don't want to dome your handmade mold. So I'm just gonna pour it like that. And that took about 75, 80 milliliters. That's not too bad. Not bad at all. So I'm going to put you all in a brief pause while I go find something else to pour. Actually, I have something here on my desk that I've wanted to pour. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside. I see something in my mold, but I don't know if it's actual debris or not. Okay, so that's all done. I'm gonna leave that. Actually, I think I might use my bubble wand to make sure there's no bubbles under the fins. Oh, this is so cool. Like I can totally reach down there to get any bubbles out. If you haven't gotten yourself a bubble wand, you really should get one if you can. I would not have been able to do that with my dotting tool. I'm just cleaning my bubble wand really quickly. Okay. All right, so that piece is pretty much ready. So now I'm gonna pour this in here. I've got about, I'm guessing 120. So I'm just thinking, what am I going to pour? I have a mold here on hand, but I don't think I'm going to have enough resin for it. It's from the resin mold box. I want to pour myself that little vase with the ruffled edge, but this isn't going to be enough resin. Yeah, so this is 120. So yeah, that only took 80 milliliters. That's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, I'm going to put you all on a brief pause and find something to pour. Okay, I pulled out this heart mold with the crown. This is from the resin mold box for June. So I'm gonna do a drip with alcohol ink. Ideally, I would have wanted to do the crown in gold and the heart red, but I don't have, at least I don't think there's any gold alcohol ink. Now, I have this gold opaque dye that I can try and see how that comes out. And I got this a long time ago at Michael's. So I'll see if I can find a link on Amazon. If I do, it might be really expensive. So I think any kind of gold ink will do. So I'm just going to pour a layer of clear to get that started. Just pour around to just cover the surface. And now I'm gonna drop a few drops here. That gold looks really nice. Now this is not alcohol ink, this is opaque dye. So I'm probably gonna have to swirl that, which is fine. Oh, see, I don't have enough resin in there. I'm just going through and just doing the drops. Do one more drop here. Cover that up. And then push that. That looks really pretty. I like it. The gold doesn't look too opaque. And I think I'll just put a few more drops of red up here. And just kind of let that do its thing. And yeah, I've got probably about 5 milliliters left, but I don't want to, let me check it out from eye level. And at eye level, it looks good. So I don't want to over pour. Well, I do kind of want it to dome though. Excuse my dog for shaking herself out. If you heard that on the mic, although my mic is usually pretty good, so I hope you didn't hear that. Let's see if this doesn't overflow. It's gonna overflow. I just know it. No, I'm not gonna risk it. Just gonna leave that like that. And what I'll do is grab a butterfly. Wonder what the butterfly would look like in an alcohol ink. This is a matte mold. That might not look very good. So I'm gonna put some gold drops in there. Because again, this is opaque and it's not alcohol ink. And hopefully I have enough for this butterfly. Because it's already thickening up on me. It's so warm today. And I don't have AC in my room, so. And I don't have the fan on either. Just kind of mixing that up there. Getting that into all the little crevices. It's been a minute since I've done a project where I have extra, so this should be an interesting demold, or at least it calls for an interesting demold. Now, I'm not going to do anything to the stingray except maybe color its eyes, but again, I think I'm going to keep that as a master, a backup master. But I will finish the heart. And do something with the butterfly. All right. That's the last bit. So it's not completely full, so if I can't unmold it today, then I'll just leave it for the next time. And I'll demold it on the next episode. I see more resin here. Just try not to let that go to waste. Okay, so I will let everything sit for about an hour, and then I will place it on the heat mat, and then I will see you all at demold. All right, it's time to demold. So let's start with the butterfly. And that came out cute. I like how the gold looks like it's brushed on. Got a couple bubbles, but that's to be expected. The resin was pretty thick. But yeah, that looks really cute. I might do that technique again with some silver and maybe some resin that has some color in it. Now, I didn't pour it all the way. And I was thinking of putting it on top of this piece here. So let's check out this piece. And I was making a squishy for one of Iris's friends, and it tipped over on the heat mat where I had this curing. So I have some residue here, but that's okay because I'll fix it. And it's on the back, which is good news. But let's see. Get some alcohol, spritz it in there. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Is that how that's supposed to go? What a bummer. I'm missing some parts to this. Well, that's too bad. I mean, it kind of looks intentional. I mean, the color looks great. It kind of looks intentional, but man, I'll have to see what I can do to fix that. That's unfortunate. I think I know what I'll do. I'll put some resin tape and try the 1 hour fast cure. But I'll probably do this off camera and, well, I don't know. Let me think about that and how I can fix this. Because, yeah, that is unfortunate. Now I know. So if you have this mold, make sure you get into the crevice there. I didn't even think about it or realize that. So be very careful with this mold. But other than that, it looks nice, and I was thinking of putting the butterfly like right around here. But now I am looking at it and I feel like that's a little too much. I don't know, with it, without it. Yeah, I feel like that's a little too much. If the crown wasn't there, I would definitely put it. So that's fine. So I'll save that for something else. I'll think about how I can save this. And now the stingray. Oh, let me get some gloves on. I don't want to ruin my mold. I spray that with alcohol down there. And that wiggles right. Oh man, I got a bubble right here. But other than that, that came out really cute. So I think this would look good in, I want to say, because it kind of picked up the texture of the marble, and I've got this opening here. So I probably could have filled it up a little more. So this, yeah. So clear is not a good color to do in this. Again, this was just a test. I just wanted to pour it and see. But I'm thinking clear is not a good color unless I have some stuff in there. And then this will need like some sort of polishing, which I just ordered some polishing compound from iCandy. So I will give it a try on this piece and see if that kind of brightens it up. But yeah, I mean, it looks really good. If I can brighten this up and fix this little hole here and fill this part in, then I've got a pretty good master. So yeah, I like it. I mean, again, not bad. Not bad at all. I just wouldn't recommend doing it in clear unless you've got some mix-ins to cover up, because you can see this here. So yeah, you know, another thing that it could be is I didn't wait the full 24 hours. So that could be another reason why it's a little opaque. I only waited about 18 hours, and that was after I poured. So I guess it does make a huge difference if you don't wait. So, not a fail. Not a fail. No, but I can see the texture on here. It picked up the texture of the rock, of the granite, because the original Stingray is made of granite. But I do love that it picked up the fins pretty nice. It just, this bubble here. That's terrible. Okay. Well, let me think about what to do to finish these things, and then I'll be back to wrap up the video. All right, so my idea with the heart did not work. I ended up with too many jagged edges, which I could have trimmed, but um, it just wasn't looking good. So what I ended up doing was, while it was still warm from the heat mat, because I did place the piece on the heat mat to cure with the 1 hour promise epoxy, I just carved the entire heart out. And what I'm gonna do is, because the back looks hideous, I'm gonna wait for my polishing compound to well, let me back up. This piece, I don't know if it's salvageable. What I'm thinking is, I'm gonna sand the inside so that it's nice and smooth, because right now it's jagged. Then I'll sand the back, and then I'll use the polishing compound to test that out. And then I'll put some acetate and some cardboard and make it a frame and call it a day. So, but I won't be able to finish this today because I don't have the polishing compound yet. It hasn't arrived yet. So I'll have to show you the results on another episode. The butterfly, I went ahead and added some extra epoxy, promise epoxy that I had, and just made it a little bit thicker. So I just kind of domed it and added the pins. So this one was saved. And then the stingray, even though I have bubbles inside the resin, it's still pretty smooth. So I don't think I'm going to use this as my master. I think I'm going to have to cast it once more. But it was a learning experience. I know that I got to be extra careful with the tail, considering I was able to fill in the tail here. So the Promise epoxy is really good to fill in spaces like this and like the little bubble there. And if you have maybe a straight edge that is cracked or something, or that has a big bubble, I think the Promise epoxy, actually I have tried that on a trinket tray before, where I put some tape and put the Promise epoxy, and then I was able to trim it and it looked flawless. So what was my point? My point being is that I'm not going to use this as my master unless unless I test out, well, you know what, I'm not going to use this as my master, but I am going to test out the polishing compound on this too, because I do want to sand this and just kind of smooth it out. But either way, it still came out pretty good considering. So that's all for today. I'm not gonna do my usual showcase where I video the items because I'm honestly not 100% happy with how they came out. So yeah, if you stuck with me this far, thank you so much for watching. The main focus of today was making the mold, which did come out good. So here is the mold in case you tuned in halfway through or fast forwarded. Thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel because it really does help me out. And if you haven't already, give this video a like if you enjoyed it and you enjoy my other content. And also, if you have some time and you are watching another video or watching this video, consider giving it a hype because it does push it out to viewers who haven't seen my content yet. And that also does help me out. All right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you all on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and I will check back with you once I have these items nice and polished up and let you know how that went. Or I might even just do a little mini video on that, which I won't count. I'll count it like episode 71.1 or A or something, so that it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.